Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room. It's a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Hey, every day, without fail. I'm gonna be here, right? Like I said, I know I'm on the right side of history. How about you, right? Hey, Cat. Hey, thanks. Hey, Dubs. Yes. But a heartbreak. Amen. I try to spread it out. You know what I mean? I got new hours starting tomorrow. Um, so the first thing I'd want to say is, holy shit, have I been through some shit the last, well, we'll just call it month, so I don't sit around and say, woe is me type shit. But I've been fucking exhausted uh, the last like 3 days. And if you've been paying attention to me lately, you know why I'm tired. It's because of something that happened at work. It took a lot of, I would say, wind out of the sails. Um, Ultimately, we got past this, right? Um, so I got the job. Start tomorrow. My hours are 12 to 9 Eastern. Okay. So I think I can push the time of the show around a little bit. And I think in the morning, starting at 7:45, might actually be a little early. So I thought about pushing the show to 08, starting on the hour. I think a lot of people would appreciate just the extra 15 minutes. Um, and go 8 to like 9:30, where I feel like a lot of people work from home, a lot of people use me as their commuter. Listen, I do try to make, by the way, I guess I don't say this often enough. Thank you for your continued support. And also, um, I do try to listen, um, to my audience. So like if there are thoughts that you have, don't be afraid to share them. Um, I don't want to live in an echo chamber. You know what I mean? I want to, when somebody has a quandary, quorum, questions, ask. Generally, I try to be like interactive, and it doesn't all have to be positive. I'm not one of those people that like constantly has to have something like good said about them or what they got going on. I I'm one of those people. I'm always afraid to ask for help for fear that I'll end up having to pass uh weight onto other people. But as I go to formally form the American Socialist Party, like formally. It's sort of like I don't know how to explain it except like it's like a never-ending loop. Okay, so according to the FEC, which is where you would like register a political party, you have to have a tax ID, bank account, and in order to be recognized as a political party in the United States, you have to have either spent 5K or raised $1,000. So I'm not asking you for money. I don't want I don't want people to be I don't want people to avoid me because they're afraid this is going to turn into a grift. I have a job. There's a reason that I'm doing things the way I'm doing them is so that I could just pay for it and I didn't ask you for help. And people didn't see it as a grift because that's not what I want, right? Like there's a reason I'm slow to name myself the treasurer. I'm like anyone else. I've only ever been poor. I don't know how to manage money, right? That shouldn't be what founding a political party and a political movement, that shouldn't be what that is about. But that is what it is about. In order to become like a recognized political party in the United States, it's just like everything goddamn else I've ever been involved with in my entire fucking life. It is about money well before it should be about money. And then it is ultimately about information gathering and protecting information that you gather and learning what your information can build for you. So the impetus, I think now in modern like organization building, primary issue is safety. It has to be. You have to protect your database, right? Your database, you're trying to add members so that you can parse your data and figure out who in this political party wants to run for public office, has the qualifications, desires to do so. I do think, with the exception of President of the United States, that you could aspire to hold political office. It's not disingenuous to do so. But you have to have a fucking plan. And I think too often people they run because there's a two-party system and you could pick a fucking side, and if you say smart enough shit often enough, you just get fucking elected, right? Am I wrong? All you got to do is fucking hit a few times in a fucking election cycle and be spoken about on multiple channels, and whoop-de-doo, you're fucking elected. It's not hard to do that, right? But what's hard to do is have a fucking plan and stick to the plan. Because one of the things you see Donald Trump doing is sticking to the fucking plan, even though it was out in the public eye from the get go. So all the things that Donald Trump's doing, the prior administration pre-planned for this. So they kind of knew that this was how this was going to go. I'm not sure if they plan on the velocity with which it's moving, or with which I now am like formally like this is full on blitzkrieg. This is they're flooding the zone like Bannon said in 2019. Like they literally could not have telegraphed this further. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Kat. I wanted to speak on that. Okay. Now, I as the person like founding the party, I don't smoke, I don't drink, but I used to. And those habits led me to a spot where I had to quit each cold turkey. And am now more than 5 years from being completely alcohol dependent and completely nicotine dependent. Okay. So if you're a person that's thinking about running for public office and you think there's something that you've done in your past, right, that could be so fucking awful, understand that while I may be like overall good person, I've held a grudge. Like I'm not a perfect person. I've been dependent. I've not worked. I've been lazy. I've been depressed. I have mental health issues too, right? So I think when people think about running for public office, they think that like they're not the person. And fortunately, you don't necessarily have to be. You just have to have the best plan. So I think when people think about running for public office, they think like I could never run for public office because I did XYZ, right? No, you have to have a fucking plan of what is your plan going to be should you be given an opportunity to govern or mayor or senate or whatever. You have to have a plan for the role, right? And have the best plan for the role, right? And the thing that we lack it when you look at the right and the left, right? And that's the thing I keep saying is this is not a right to left thing. You've been fed this right to left shit your whole life. And I'll tell you, as someone who has extensively been not only in the education system in each of the last 3 decades post high school, that means I've been to college 3 separate times in 3 separate decades. I already have a degree. I'm in the progress of getting another one. In addition to being in the education system, I've also stayed up on politics this whole time. And I can acknowledge, and anybody that has voted can acknowledge that in the last 25 years, let's just call it like it is, the Democratic Party has been the party of the status quo, and the right has been pushing farther right until now the full-blown extremist, fascist, authoritarian dictatorship that we are currently living under. Like that's the Republican Party. And understand that they are ultimately in power. They have the the House, the Senate, the presidency, a lenient Supreme Court. And if they wanted to push any effective legislation through, if they really wanted to hurt a bunch of people, they could do this. They could all sign up for this and do this. I don't know that they will. I don't know that they've all got it like that. I don't know that they think they can afford it. But it's very clear to me who's in charge, who's pulling the strings, what needs to happen. Okay. And ultimately, Elon Musk is in charge here. Elon Musk is a terrible fucking president. We have to figure that out as a people of what is holding this whole fucking shit show above water and keeping it from fucking collapsing in on itself. And the answer is Elon fucking Musk. In case you were missing something, where you just I can't figure out what's going on here. I can't figure out why no effective legislation is being suggested. Nothing to benefit the American people is being suggested. It appears like the president of the United States has no clue how the government works. Do you think that it's Donald Trump, or do you think that's Elon Musk, who I've been saying for a while? I've been saying this for a while that Elon Musk has not passed a US government course. Elon Musk is not nearly as educated as he should be for an immigrant to the United States. And that's about as close as you'll hear me to saying anything like remotely anti-immigrant. So if you just started listening and you're like, "Holy shit, Jared," I'm just saying the entrance exam into the United States to become an immigrant, like you have to be pretty smart about what's going on in the United States. And it's pretty clear to me he did not take or pass that test, does not have an understanding of the way the US government works. Why? How do you know that, Jared? Because he's filed more than 400 or probably more than 500 executive and presidential orders. And how many bills have been proposed? And consider what that usually is. Think about the average start of a presidency. Does it normally start with 500 executive orders that all get tied up into court? I'm just asking for a friend. Does everybody know? Huh? Is this how it usually works? And ultimately, I do. Some people have commented lately, Jared, are you losing hope? No. But once you get past like the first week of March, yo, it's time to shit or get off the pot. We got problems. If the time frame passes for Executive Order 13848 and there's no movement from all these departments that Donald Trump has been fucking with since he got into office, like the FBI, CIA type shit. Keep in mind, this is how you know that Elon Musk is in charge. Keep in mind, they haven't touched ODNI, the Office of the Department of National Intelligence. Remember Avril that I told you about? They haven't touched the fucking CISA or DSIC or the NSA, right? Think about those organizations, and they all did investigations into this election. Think about the US military, right? Have not been touched. And you know why. One, there is some recognition here that like dismantling the FBI is something that Donald Trump is all about. The CIA, though, when they try to, and keep in mind the firings were like illegal, these people getting their jobs back. There's plenty of people that like took the offer to like retire early that are coming back and shit, and like all those people are super pissed. But you know what I heard though? Thousands upon thousands of employees were investigating these elections. Like the depths to which these election investigations go, the public would never know how deep into the NSA, D6, CISA, they've been investigating these elections. You'd never even know that. Why would you not know that? I want to see it in the chat. Why aren't they more in the know? Because Donald Trump is a felon and he's not privy to high level information. He doesn't get to go to those meetings. So he's flying fucking blind. Donald Trump has no fucking power. Like, I understand you think that he is ruining your fucking life. I know that he's attacking people that don't look like me. Uh huh. But it's just bluster. It's not real, actionable, legal shit. Protect yourselves. There are people that want to pretend, that want to cosplay as ICE and shit, that want to round people up and deport them. They are actively fucking deporting legal immigrants. I'm not sitting here denying shit. Be fucking vigilant. Protect your fucking self. Try not to make yourself a fucking target. Exactly. Musk is running the whole thing. Someone else is pulling the strings. Exactly. Do you think the investigations into EI will come out? I have to think. I am forced to. By my nature, where I say I'll maintain hope so long as these days haven't passed. And so far, I hate to be this fucking person. So far, so far, we've kind of been spot on when it came to Executive Order 13848. I hate to be this person. I mean, I do love to be this person where I'm like, so far, I'm fucking smoking hot. Where I've said, like, 45 days after the election was December 20th. What very memorable thing happened on December 20th? It was a Friday. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were going home for the holidays. What happened? They all came rushing back to the fucking White House, right? For what reason did they come rushing back to the White House? To receive the results of all those investigations into all those elections and make an action plan of what to do. What to do. And I want to know, what do you think the overarching plan was from the get-go, and how do you know it is to destroy the Republican Party? Oh, come on, Zippity. That's not true. Now you're just playing right into MAGA's hands. Because understand understand that she's a prosecutor, right? And her speaking out and talking openly about election interference creates an avenue of investigation. Where now, if she was ever going to be able to do anything about election interference, she has to wait until time passes, the appropriate time frame passes, And then if nothing comes of Executive Order 13848, again, why do you think Donald Trump has filed like 500 executive orders and presidential orders and not 10% of those are going to become law? And they're all being fought in court. And not actual meaningful legislation. Think about this. They have a Republican House and a Congress and a president and the Supreme Court. They could do anything they want. They can make meaningful change in politics. And they aren't even trying to do that. Why? Why do you think they aren't even doing that? Yes, they proposed the bill. They proposed the budget. Yes, the Democrats have said, we'll shut the fucking government down. Why? Why? They're trying to stall out until the results of Executive Order 13848 comes out. Because it was 45 days to produce the results of investigation, 45 days to what comes before indictments, sanctions. So over that next 45 days, if you think about what happened, think about how long the days were between December 20th, right? And I'll say like within a week after the election, the inauguration, a month ago. Think about that. Think about how full those days were. Why? Sanctions. Tons of fucking sanctions worldwide. The arrests of attackers worldwide. Hackers networks disrupted worldwide. Tell me, somebody say you've lost your shit, Jared. None of that happened. Or did that happen? Did the feds not raid a bunch of motherfuckers? Did that shit not happen? I've lost my shit. Did Bezos' boat not get fucking ransacked? What about Alfie Oaks? What about the Polymarket CEO? Did they not get raided? Do you think they just mobilized DSIC for nothing? So you mean to tell me all those things happened that we all fucking know about? We all fucking know all those things happened, and y'all think it just that I was hanging on to hope? Motherfucker, hope died a long time ago. What are you talking about? Expectations? We don't have expectations. We have hard dates that if shit does not pop off, we are fucked. Right? Now there's way too many people saying we only have 2 weeks before democracy is and being like fear mongerers. I'm not fear mongering. I'm saying 45, 45, 30. Okay? What is supposed to happen March fucking, what is it? 3rd? March fucking 3rd, indictments. The results of these investigations. The ODNI is supposed to come out. Am I wrong? I'm not the one that wrote the fucking, I didn't write the shit, but we read it. We read the shit out loud. We know that there's video of fucking Joe Biden re-signing Executive Order 13848, which is the most bizarre shit in your whole fucking life that you've think about all the bizarre things that has happened in your whole life. Everyone now, think about the most bizarre thing. And is this not the most bizarre shit that Donald Trump on September 18th, 2018 signed Executive Order 13848? Okay? I just want to point this out. Back up, timeout. You know how at the beginning of the show I post the music video for War by Edwin Starr? On TikTok, they filtered that out. So from the beginning of the show, when I originally posted that fucking YouTube video, it didn't post it in the messages to the show. Why would you filter a YouTube video out? Anyway, so no. But why hasn't he, Tim? Here's the fun conversation to have. Why hasn't Donald Trump fired the head of the ODNI? Why hasn't he ordered the suspension of all investigations in regards to Executive Order 13848? Could it be the dementia? Could it be the dementia? Could it be the person giving Donald Trump instructions did not pass government class and doesn't know how this works? I'm asking legitimate questions. I know that this is a rough time for a lot of people. I know, but think real hard. Of all the bizarre shit that ever happened in your whole life, if it's not Donald Trump passed this fucking rule when he was president that I think is going to come back and bite him in the ass. I'm pretty positive. In fact, I've not been the again, you have to understand I'm one of those people I have to tell you how I feel too. Otherwise I'm just a fucking robot, right? Like I feel calm about this. I'm not in a state of panic constantly where I'm positive that you know what I mean? I don't feel uneasy about protest. There's nationwide protests tomorrow. I'm not nervous about this. This isn't left versus right. This is fucking rich versus poor. This is billions of people versus 155 billionaires. And there's maybe 150 people in the United States, I'm guessing, that are elected officials and completely Russian assets. And all of that shit is about to come out in the wash. I have to believe that because it's written down in shit I didn't write. Like I didn't write Executive Order 13848. I didn't put it out there and make it very digestible. And Donald Trump lists it as one of his accomplishments. Like people out here acting like I'm crazy and I'm like Donnie's fucking proud. Oh, he's proud that he wrote that shit. That he signed that shit into law. And he could and think about this, he could absolutely stop that. What why isn't he? Dementia. The guy that's actually in charge did not pass a US government class. They're using fucking chat GPT to figure out how to dismantle the government. They don't actually know that, for example, the executive branch does not have the purse strings. Why don't they know that? Because Elon Musk didn't pass a US government class and he's whispering in fucking Donald Trump's ear sweet nothings. Okay? He has no power. He fucking knows it. He knows that the guy that pulling the strings doesn't know what he's doing. Okay? Okay? And I know people are fucking hurting. I know people are fucking hurting about every day this motherfucker does something that just pisses you off. I know. You know what I also know? You know what I also know? Nothing screams like my relationship is about to fail, like going on national television to talk about all the mean shit people have said about you and your relationship, and how Elon and Donald Trump spent their Saturday on Fox. And if I've ever seen a couple about to go through a nasty breakup in my life, okay, we need to keep hammering this home. Like they're in a relationship. They're clearly, hey, I'm just saying, I have lots of gay friends. I have known a lot of older gay men, like, 10 to 20 years to 30 years older than me that are gay couples. Hey, they got all the patterns of behavior of like an older gay couple that's trying to keep the public from knowing they're fucking. And so that's the kind of shit that they do. That's the kind of shit they do is go on national fucking television, had their hand on each other's lap and shit. I'm sure of it. And definitely do a little more than firm handshakes and hugs. I don't know why does this bother you so much, Daniel? I'm gonna approve your comment so I can make fun of you before I block you, okay? Um, understand, like I'm not. Yeah, that's why Melania's not around. Essentially co-daddies. Yeah. Um, that was just a couple old men that their relationship has taken a lot of heat. They're both under a lot of pressure. And I know someone at one of the networks, I can get us both on TV at the same time, and we'll just profess our love for each other. It's no big deal, bro. We got this. And know that if you ever wondered what is keeping Donald Trump alive, it's Elon Musk dragging his corpse around. And that's the way this works. It's a completely parasitic relationship. I've often felt like it might be co-parasitic, and I know that that kind of confuses people. They're like, I'm not really sure how to feel about this situation now that I realize like they're potentially in a relationship. Okay. At the core of all of this, I think they might be in a relationship. I'm actually kind of positive they are. And then it's equally parasitic. They're not good for each other. How do we know? Because Donald Trump regularly does shit that fucks with Elon's money. In case you haven't seen that, you're just like, why the fuck does that happen? It's because they're both receiving instruction from Russian assets. So I imagine like Elon Musk is probably communicating directly with Vladimir Putin, but you have to remember there's another Russian that knows Klyushin, right? Remember Artem Klyushin? Like he's still very close with them. And so remember that their whole MO is chaos. The whole Russian MO is chaos. So there's a reason that they're not passing legislation. They could be trying to pass meaningful legislation. They are not wasting their time trying to do that. They're trying to abuse. What they're trying to do is abuse the executive power, abuse of executive power. But understand that Donald Trump doesn't control purse strings. So Donald Trump you can't edit the fucking Constitution without congressional approval. And so he knows none of those things are going to happen. So again, they have to stick to the script because otherwise they don't have a plan. And so he can't govern, he can't show empathy, be a leader, get up in front of a bunch of people and talk. No, he's going to take every day and try to thread the needle and say basically without saying like any language that would get it completely banned from public. He like threads the needle where you're like, isn't that like a violation of the First Amendment? You know what I mean? Isn't that a violation of free speech? And then like 2 days later, it's like federal judge strikes down another. And sorry, I'm on my second cup of coffee. If you haven't noticed, I have not stopped talking over a fucking week without my creamer. I'm all fucked up, y'all. In order to be satiated, I have to have more coffee, which makes me super fucking hyper. I don't think I've taken a breath since I pressed record. Sorry. Sorry. I think they're getting paid anyway, Sherry. So yeah, I get it. Everybody's like losing their minds, but it's all bluster. Meaningful legislation is not being suggested and vetted through a process and them try to actually make any meaningful progress. And you have to know they're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're forced basically. It's like they were gonna do Project 2025 regardless. And Joe, it's like having the answers to the test and being like, how do you fight against Project 2025? Well, you set up orders of secession. So when Donald Trump somehow gets to fire people and it gets down to a certain point, you have it backfilled. You have those roles backfilled, right? And so people, and again, that completely goes over people's head. They don't even fucking understand that shit. And then people are like, how else do you fight against Project 2025? Assign 235 federal judges to lifetime benches, and then have Donald Trump try to pass all his stupid shit, and it falls right into their lap, and they could just strike that shit down. And here's the funny thing about this. What's funny about this is people are like, "Oh my god, what if Donald Trump says fuck that?" And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? And they're like, well, what if Donald Trump says, I'm going to make this a law anyway? And it's like, that, honey, that's not how that fucking works. The president can't be like, this is a law now, arrest them. Like, are you fucking kidding me? He's not a king. that, that ain't how that works, dog. Uh, they can't. That is funny though. Now that I think about it, why they sent the sheriff to my house and shit. It's funny. Yeah. Can The Hague bring Putin to justice? Well, you got to understand Putin can't leave Russia, Bess. So if he's to leave, he could be detained in any of like a whole bunch of countries. Same thing with Bibi. Bibi can't leave Israel. And then again, I want to keep making sure I say like Israel is a rogue nation state and doesn't actually exist on a map. I just want to point that out. They're just like fucking shit up all over in the Middle East, and for some reason the U.S. is in this absolutely cooked partnership, by the way, where we like are allies and we like hang out and shit. We're supposed to be like cool with these people that are actively like committed a fucking genocide. MCE doesn't do anything by the book. No, I'm just saying like if you propose a rule or rule change and a governing body says that's illegal, can't do it, and then your response is we're just going to do it anyway. What do you mean? You understand, like the action got stopped when a federal judge said that's illegal. Can't do that. They don't get to just be like, oh, we're posting it on the charter anyway. You know what I mean? Like my favorite thing is obviously it's symbolism, and I don't want to give in against symbolism and be like it doesn't mean anything. But like they took the Constitution down off the internet and shit, and it's like, what do you think they're gonna do? Rewrite it? And like because it's on the fucking internet, that's man, there's like a whole process you have to go to amend the Constitution. You can't just like bypass the it'd be like we just rewrote it. It says what we want it to say now. That that's not how that works. And people are like, well, what if they just decide? And it's like that's who's gonna make it happen for them? Like what are you talking about? So I get it. It's like frustrating, but it's like don't get duped by powerless people that have no clue how to govern, don't understand how the laws work, who clearly aren't in charge. Donald Trump is clearly not in charge. Elon Musk is clearly in charge. You think he's doing it because he has presidential immunity? Sure. So that doesn't change. That just means like he can't be held accountable for what he tries to do. Change the name of Gulf of Mexico. That's hilarious. It's like he could have been passing meaningful legislation. All his Tuesdays put into place. It's not that bad. They've wanted to create chaos on several fronts at the same time. Foreign aid, DOE, DOJ, yep. Red Sox are enjoyable, don't buy Mexicans because Americans are unemployable. I'm clearly out of touch. What did what did I say that made me you think I'm not out of touch? That's so mean. Also, it's YOU apostrophe RE, like you are clearly out of touch. Normally, when you're gonna tell someone else that they've lost their mind, you generally want to use complete sentences that as sort of a floor for being able to kind of advise someone else. You might want to type above a, I don't know, sixth grade level. It said paid Google to change it. Yeah, he actually just paid Google to change it. So he didn't actually put forth legislation that was passed by both the House and Congress, signed by the president. He didn't actually do that. Okay. Yeah, what I thought was hilarious, like people are like, "Oh my God, we're in such dangerous times." Donald Trump fired like 1,200 people that guard U.S. nuclear missile sites, and then over the weekend is like trying desperately to hire them all back, but can't get a hold of them after he terminated them because they're like required. Like those people have to be at those places of employment. You don't get to fucking abandon fucking nuclear missile silos. You know what I mean? The question could be, how could he just do what he wants? Yeah, he can't like just do what he wants. He's weak and powerless. Let me introduce you to a song. I know it's frustrating out there, man. But uh, it's just real. It's real. He's weak and powerless. Putting it in the chat. It's a song by Tool. Yeah, he's not a CEO. He's not the CEO of the United States. So understand like what he says does not go. Remember, we talked about this before the election on my podcast, where we talked about the powers that the president actually has. Okay. And we talked about this, and it's like people forgot that I know that. I know what powers the president actually has, and we talked about this. So people are all stressed out, and it's like, is he using his power? He's not using his power. He said he didn't even know that Elon met with the prime minister of India in the White House. Oh, that's wild. Proof they wouldn't be aware of investigations into election cheating. Yeah. So I put out "Weak and Powerless" by Tool on, um, because yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, "You're delusional. Like they're more powerful than ever. Oh, they got access to payment systems. Uh-huh. All these benefits are on the chopping block. Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. But understand, I just think that it's like they're in more danger than we should be afraid. Does that, I hope that's kind of tracking. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what he thinks. He's like, whatever he says goes. There's nothing ever coming back. And then like a judge is like, that's not legal, strikes that down, and then he just moves on to the next one. Um, so I understand it. It totally feels like. But here, anyway, I wanted to post what should we be focusing on? Well, how about mainstream coverage of the protests that are tomorrow? Okay. Focus on what is happening. Here's NPR. Okay. Okay. Talking about protests. Okay. Okay. And while I've got a big old audience, I want to do what you're supposed to do when you have a large audience of people. And I know a bunch of people are clinching, hoping I'm not trying to sell you something, and I just want to say, hey, make sure that you get 8 hours of sleep a night. If you need to take a nap, take a fucking nap, get your rest. Also, you need to hydrate, and you need to eat right. And if you're going to do all that stuff, you might as well exercise. And hey, a lot of people that I've met in my life that I've encouraged to do this same behavior, that I have, where I've stayed in pretty good shape. I'm carry 300 pounds and it don't look like I weigh that much. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you gotta stay mobile. And a lot of people think that it's like some vain thought process, but the hard reality is at some point you might need to wear body armor. And I think you want to have a slimmer profile so that you can wear a smaller vest and protect your organs better, and let that drive you. That at some point you're going to have to put on, you know what I'm saying? Like, at some point you're going to have to put the vest on, put the gas mask on, grab the whatever, right? The broom out of the closet, and ride that bitch away. I don't give a shit what euphemism you want to use to. At some point, I'm not ever going to be one of those doomsday prepper types. I'm not thinking like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not thinking about a boogie bag and trying to get the fuck out of town type shit. You know what I mean? I don't think that's the the way. I think the thought process is control what you could control, right? Like, whatever you're doing, yeah, whatever you're doing, it should revolve around taking care of yourself and making sure that you're like staying ready instead of like getting ready or like running away, because that's what like a lot of people preach when your environment is stressed. In my eyes, I was in the Marine Corps infantry, I see it as abandoning post. It, one of the things that you learn on active duty, you have to do duty, right? You have to you have to literally guard your own people. And one of the tenets of, they're called Marine Corps orders, is not abandoning your post until properly relieved. And one of the things that's bothered me since I got on, holy shit, what? One of the things that I've noticed since I started participating in TikTok and YouTube and creating content, and I've drawn an audience, is that a lot of people are selling you on running away. And instead of facing the fight and having a battle plan and knowing your neighbors and putting up solar panels and gathering your own water and growing your own food and having a plan with your neighbors so that you can, I hate to say it, but like mount an offensive instead of and play defensively instead of flee. Instead of fucking planning on running, you soft ass bitches, how about you stand your fucking ground like you swore you was gonna do your whole fucking life? You promised if you ever had a place and you ever got to a spot that you would die on your shield. You said that. You said you just eventually you put the sword on your back, you put the fuck, I keep fucking it up. You put the shield on your back and you die on that shit. And you fight and stand your ground. You said you were gonna do it, right? At some point playing Dark Souls, you swore you were going to put the shield away and just two-hand the sword and fight. You said you were going to do it eventually. Do you understand the sort of like euphemism? It's a lot harder to two-hand the long sword. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot harder to prepare for that. Okay? But there's a lot of people out here trying to sell you on running away. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not about the Second Amendment yet. We're not there yet. We're quickly approaching, hey, I've been trying to tell people one of the things that you won't hear me doing as somebody who spent their entire life around pew pews is talk pew pew. You don't you it's like what is probably, other than football, my longest relationship is with that iron. And I'm not just talking about time on active duty. I'm talking about my whole entire fucking life. Like my family was big into fucking hunting when I was growing up. Like muskets and shit. Like hunt musket, hunt shotgun, hunt rifle. My brother owned property that had coyotes on it. When I came home for the Marine Corps, we spent 13 days clearing coyotes off his fucking property. If I've ever met someone that has grown up with a gun in their hand that can tell you like that is not exactly how you want to live, friend. I can promise you that that is not how you want to live. Turn those swords into plowshares. The fucking lights caved in my house, right? I swear to God, grow a garden, grow a garden, so that when they get to you, they let you live because you can feed them and feed yourself and you power your neighborhood and you all work together and you all know each other and you take care of each other. Understand that if you don't do that, you're just going to get run the fuck over and they will be living on your corpse on top of you. If you don't prepare as though someday you may have to defend, right, and potentially mount an offensive. How do you do that? Will you teach people, right? What have I told you? Stay in fucking shape. You never know when you have to put the vest on. What do you think accompanies a vest? Do you think it's just like put a vest on, hide in the closet? No, motherfucker, I'm telling you, if you don't stay in shape, whatever apparatus you decide to engage someone with is going to draw attention and get you killed by way more of them than there are of you. That it's actually like a bow and arrow is probably better for you if you're really thinking about doing some shit. Think about it like that. That making a bunch of noise and firing a firearm when they have fucking tanks and drones and who knows what the fuck else. It's like, do you want to draw attention and make a bunch of noise? Is that what you're really trying to do? See, far too many people have grown up on this John Wick shit and they really think about and dream about, fantasize about constantly. It's called homicidal ideation. There's so many people, young white males in the United States that grew up thinking it's them. That's them. That one day they're just gonna crash out, right? And I'm the one sitting here telling you, hey, what's far more obviously to me gonna happen is you're gonna have to stand your ground. You're gonna have to learn to fight back at some point. But there's a reason I'm not coming out here saying get your ass with a P town, get you one of them real quicks. No, it's like stay in shapes. One day you're gonna know. Time to get the vest. I'm a advocate for home defense. Don't fuck around. Get a shotgun, right? Right. If you've ever played Fortnite, is I don't know about anybody else. Okay, I'm a gamer. I like to use gamer analogies because one, it's fucking hilarious. Okay. By the way, one of my coworkers and I became friends. He plays PUBG. I downloaded PUBG on PS5. I won my first game on solo squads. Just so everybody understands, Marine Corps. Okay, first game I played a fucking PUBG. I downloaded that shit. First game I played, won fucking solo quads. Okay, my entire team did not land with me. We were not communicating and fighting together at all. I fucking soloed that shit. 6 kills, won the fucking match. Anyway, okay, you're not ever as powerful or dangerous until you get the pump. Powerful and dangerous until you get the pump. And you're like in the house and you can hear them coming and they turn the corner on you. Do you understand? Right, take right hand shots, right? Like I'm telling you, stay in a place that you can defend, make sure that you could fit in a vest. I'm not telling you to get a pistol, go out and start murking motherfuckers, right? Because there's absolutely people doing that with their platform. I literally saw someone have a list of these people are going to have to muerte in order for society to move forward, and it's a list of like 155 billionaires. And it's like, hey, if you think that that's how you that vigilante justice is how society progresses forward, let me tell you what history has to say about that. Do you understand? Like you may think that it's all sticks and stones, but if you think for 5 seconds that's gonna work out for us and that we all aren't just gonna die, I'm telling you, don't do this. Like there are far too many people that are also protesting and that are also willing to commit straight up murder. You know, and it's just like, hey, y'all have let this John Wick shit get to your head too. When I'm telling you, you need to be thinking about taking care of the land you're on, about producing on the land you're on, and being able to turn something out and getting to know your neighbors and understanding like building community is way more productive than this homicidal ideation that people are having because of their oppressor, right? It's so easy to fall for that, and it will have a long term impact on you as a human being for you to sit around and think about wanting to murder your oppressor. It's unhealthy. Instead, think of we must protect this house, right? The fucking Under Armour theme, like think of it like that instead, and that your body is a temple, aka house. Protect yourself. Understand that you ultimately you'll get to a point where you know where your attitude has to change, and you have to prepare for what is ultimately going to help you survive. And I'm telling you, conditioning and like speed, right? Get the fuck out of that house, Alicia. The fuck are we talking about? There's far too many people that are like, I'm in a relationship with a MAGA. I have deep family connection to MAGA. How am I? You have to fucking leave that shit. You have to get out of that environment. You have to silence the communication between you and those people. Yes, you have to. One of the things that I've learned in my studying of cults is that if you don't, though, those are the people that turn you in. When Donald Trump starts deporting legal immigrants, get the fuck out of California, Alicia. I'm just, you asked. I know it's tough to think about. Okay. Big protests tomorrow, your state capital, noon. Okay. I'm gonna try. It snowed this morning, and I tried to get out and drive around. And good. Here's my question: how do I get my road plowed? Like apparently here in Indianapolis, they stopped plowing side roads, and so once I get out on the main roads are fine, but getting out my neighborhood's a nightmare. I, hey, I'm empathetic to your situation. I always try to provide the most obvious solution, which doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's like the whole thing. Remember to avoid to not be a provocateur yourself. Remember, this is not a violent protest. Violence is not the plan. The plan is a show of numbers. Remember, apparently, from some research, it says 3.5% of the U.S. population is all it would take. And I don't know what the fuck. I just say go. You know, I have to work at fucking noon. It's my first day having finally gotten through training. So I'm gonna try to get down there. ahead of time. Again, like I said, it snowed overnight. They didn't plow my fucking neighborhood. I did get out today and drive some. We'll see about tomorrow. See what happens today and tomorrow. Jesus. But yeah, I'm not religious, so I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I'm praying for your safety. But I am certainly thinking about everyone as you go to protest. And yeah, as you go to protest, I hope that it's safe for you, that you get in and you get out, and you feel good about what you did, and that no matter how much time you spend, that if it's 1 minute in protest, it's plenty. And understand that far too many people are going to sit at home and not do or say a thing, and are just going to go to work and come home, go to sleep and go to work and go home and go to sleep, and they're going to spend their whole life that way. And that generally, if you're listening to me, finding yourself listening to me on the regular, like, I hope you see that I'm not just the kind of person to say go and do this, right? I'm not. Oh shit! I don't like my way my hand moved there. I'm not the kind of person to say go and do that, right? I'm the kind of person that says come and follow me. Like, I'm gonna go do this. This is the thing to do. Okay. So I've put it out there, right? Hey, um, we need to be making signs that say Elon Musk is a terrible president, and inferring that Donald Trump is not in charge, and also characterizing their relationship and calling into question their relationship and constantly attacking that. Yeah, I saw what you said, Cece. um but that's the best non-violent. Understand, the reason that I'm trying to avoid speaking on violence as with this level of a platform where, I just got a notification we had like 1,500 different people stop into my podcast. The problem, I'm a firm believer in this regime, like against this regime. If you're out here advocating for violence and something bad happens to someone on the right, you better believe they're going to come after people like me and say you advocated for violence, and they're going to try to connect people to me, because ultimately I do have a platform. I am out here actively telling people to protest, right? And actively telling them to make signs and go to protest, right? Um, and know that I try to make sure I'm being cognizant of what I'm telling you, right? Um, where I'm trying to say, if you are questioning the legitimacy of these protests, consider these places to get more information about how each state is kind of doing its own thing. Even though it's basically your state capital, 12 noon tomorrow is kind of the right. And understand, like, they're literally talking about using the non-myeloid issue long-term results child succeeds. Yeah, I've tried to for the record, I'm a socialist, and I'm trying to start the American Socialist Party. I'm not trying to start, I am starting. I'm doing it slowly because it is about money, and I want to be valid, right? So I'm trying to think about who's the best web host to host a website that ultimately is whose purpose is to have people provides like your contact information so I can contact you like any other political party in the United States. I have to regularly put out emails and other content as a political party prior to asking for money, because ultimately it is about money. As long as you know the difference between socialism and communism. Well, there's tons of differences between socialism and communism. Understand that, first of all, the political spectrum is not a fucking complete circle. So understand that socialism and communism are not fucking next to each other. They're on opposite ends of a political spectrum. Okay? First, let's just get it out of the way. Violence is attributed to communism. So you can take violence and communism and put them on the far end of the right end of the political spectrum. Violence and communism, they belong together. Understand that at its core, in order for there to be communism, there has to be a violent overthrow of the government. It's literally like part of how communism is achieved is a violent overthrow of the government. Understand that if you just go, okay, the political spectrum is not a complete circle. Socialism and communism are not next to each other. They're on opposite ends of political spectrums. And understand that at the far right of the political spectrum is communism and violence. Just get that in your brain hole. Okay? Communism, violence. Okay? Understand that under communism, and keep in mind, I'm not looking at anything. So, everybody out here, this ain't some shit I'm reading. Okay. These are real. You're talking to a real human being. Okay. The problem with communism is that the end goal is that the government owns companies and corporations. So, like, if you think, how do I say that in modern terms? If you think Citizens United is bad, and you think stock trading and insider trading is bad, what do you think happens under this corporate regime, right? When the government directly owns business and basically just caves into AI, and millions of fucking jobs just become obsolete overnight. Why? Because that's how corporations work. Is they work to maximize profit for shareholders. Stop me when I'm wrong. Like the whole entire point in my eyes of communism is to force capitalism upon its people to the degree that the government now owns all the businesses. They're all going to be modernized. AI will be strewn throughout these entire businesses and running multiple departments. There'll be very little need for like human employees, and ultimately we will all starve or work. And I hate to talk about it because I'm like a white cis male, and so I always feel terrible when I say like work as slaves and die as slaves. I like just feels gross to say it, but like because I don't know about you, but any other time I've ever heard of like a white person talk about slavery, it's like some wildly fucking horrible shit you wish they would have never fucking said. But yeah, so there's a reason why I'm out here saying, hey, if you are proffering violence upon this regime, understand that's how you get the Insurrection Act. That's how you get martial law. And I want to make sure we spend a good portion of the time on this show saying martial, Martial, martial law. Stop reaching out to me and asking me what happens if the US government institutes martial law and it's Marshall, like fucking Marshall from How I Met Your Mother. Okay? It's fucking Marshall. Martial. Marshall. I'm going to keep saying that because you fucking idiots keep sending me messages like, what are you going to do when they declare martial law? And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll call Marshall. I don't fucking know. Okay? So, um, people are like, I don't want to go protest because Donald Trump will declare martial law. And they don't even know how to spell martial correctly. And it's like, if you're afraid of martial law, that's the point. What more excuse do you need to protest than the whole point of the threat of martial law is to prevent peaceful protest? Because they have fifis. Literally, they have feelings. I know it sounds fucking crazy. They have real feelings. These are actual people. I know you and I see them and we're like, these fucking androids. Like at the fucking inauguration. I know you watched that shit and you were like, they're all high as fuck, completely fucking out of touch, fucking robots. And it's like, no, these no pussy getting Xerox white fucking, you know what I mean? Like they're super goddamn wealthy. You'd think they'd get never ending pussy, and you know they get no bitches. And so when you watch them and you think like, oh, it's like violence against them is what is going to work here. And it's like, if you, yes, you stole my thunder, Brasher. If you're constantly afraid of the repercussions of protest, they already won. If you're afraid of martial law, you're living under martial law. They have power over you, and they didn't even do anything. They didn't even do anything. And think about this. Think about this. Republican House, Senate, President, Supreme Court. Where's the meaningful legislation? So they're not proposing meaningful legislation, right? It's just a bunch of fucking executive orders, and it's Donald Trump thinking he's immune. So I can do all these executive orders. They can't sue me for this. No, they could just thoroughly investigate the order and see if it breaks any laws and then declare it illegal. There's like I don't understand. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, this boot is on my face. I'm being oppressed." And it's like, "No, you're being challenged." They're calling your bluff. They're saying like, "Are you really going to take off again? 2 days in the same month? Maybe even 3 days in the same month, because keep in mind, not only is there protest tomorrow, but there's a blackout on the 28th. Not only is there a blackout on the 28th, there are protests in March. Two of them I'm aware of. I believe the 5th and the 15th. So again, I want to keep pointing out South Korea had to protest for months twice to get rid of their shitty president. So if you think a day here and there is what's going to get us across the finish line and get any sort of meaningful shit accomplished here, it's like tomorrow's the tip of the fucking iceberg. Okay? So there's a reason I come out and I say, hey, socialism and nonviolent protest is the path forward. Syndicalism is the path forward. If you don't know what syndicalism is, ask. If you are confused on what the definition of words and terms are, if you want to know, Jared, how do we pay for it? Ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And as someone that's starting a political party, I have to have an answer for that shit. Right? I'm the founder. I'm the one doing the fucking work. I'm the one going to the bank. I'm the one registering with the FEC. I'm the one making myself the fucking treasurer, even though I'm fucking horrible with money. I'm horrible with money. Thank God I'll never touch it. Okay? Because I'm not doing this for me. This is me seeing what is happening in real time and having seen what's been going on in real time and saying we have to have a party for the people, like the workers' party. But you can't call it that shit because there's too many people that don't consider themselves workers. And people will extrapolate that and they'll say, well, you can't call it the Socialist Party because people want to call them a socialist. I think once you define what a socialist is in modern terms, you're all socialists. You've just lived your whole life in denial of the fact. Let me explain. Look up the definition of socialism. Here, I'll read it to you from memory. Any of an egalitarian movement, whether social or economic, whose base premise is the social ownership of business. How many fucking words did I miss? None. It's taped to the back of my fucking eyeballs. Okay? Ultimately, in modern language, egalitarian just means equality for all. Equality for all. Equal rights. Right? Also, equal application of the law. Okay? No, like what's better are cool acronyms that go with the political party in the United States. Like the political parties in the United States, the elephant and the donkey. What other animal is a danger to the elephant and the donkey? Here, I'll tell you, the snake. So there's a reason to call it the American Socialist Party is because as an acronym, it's ASP, the fucking snake, and you get to take the Don't Tread on Me flag along with the American flag, and you own those as the American Socialist Party, whose premise, the very foundation upon which the American Socialist Party is built, is equality for all, including their application of the rule of law, right? That's the foundation. And then the pillars of fucking socialism are universal health care, education, income, and housing. And so what you do once you achieve political power, however the fuck you do that, understand there's only like 565 seats of government open in the United States. And one of the ways you defeat that is get someone to run as a socialist that has the same thoughts that I do, that I'm literally outlined. I tell you what the definition of this shit is. I tell you what the foundation of the party is: equality, right? Equal rights. That whole civil rights movement, that's the bedrock. That is the foundation of socialism. Think about what I'm saying. Does it, you're not like, what? Nobody's ever said that in my whole life. Nobody's ever sat down and said that the foundation of socialism is equality, equal rights, the civil rights movement, right? And then the pillars of socialism, the things that like socialism wants to achieve, are universal health care, education, income, and housing. The foundation of the economic theory of socialism is the elimination of interest, tax, and rent. So you hear socialism, it grinds in your brain because you really don't know what it is. And then when I start to explain it, people are like, "Nuh-uh." And it's like, go do your own research on socialism. There's a reason I am an advocate for nonviolent means of protest, including revolts and strikes and in-person protests. And I've even championed the great, have I not? Tell me, audience, have I not fucking sat here and championed for the great tech rebellion and said, the key to these motherfuckers is their goddamn wallets. Get rid of Facebook, Threads, IG, get Messenger off your phone, get WhatsApp off your phone, get TikTok or Twitter off your phone, and get Amazon off your phone. Start shopping locally, right? Why? Because I'm starting the American Socialist Party, whose foundation is equality for all, whose pillars are universal health care, education, income, and housing, and the overarching theme of socialism as a whole is the social ownership of business. What people don't, seizing the means of production, people don't understand. What the fuck does that mean, Jared? What does it mean? The social ownership of business means that it's the government's job to take your tax money to turn out proficient laborers in jobs that are unionized. And so, holy shit, the tagline's negative, we're limited in brain power. Yeah, sucks. So the American Socialist Party, built on equality, whose foundational aspects are universal health care, education, income, and housing, who the overarching theme of socialism is the social ownership of business. What the fuck is that? That's making you so good at a job with your tax money that you could start your own business. That's what socialism is. Everybody's like, their whole life you got told that that was bad. That sounds like everything I want in a functioning government. I want them to help me get an education, and I don't want to pay for it. I don't want you to pay for it. I don't want you to have. Somebody said we're in a mismanaged socialist society. I would argue that socialism is available if you're a veteran or if you're poor, but it's not available for everyone. And so people are like, "Oh, rich people get handouts," and it's like, no, no, like 150 of them ever. We're being awfully specific with our thoughts here. And more overarching is the fact that there have been socialist movements that have turned violent in the past. and they all failed. And I'm a firm believer that history will repeat itself if you let it. And so what I'm saying is that, hey, there's all kinds of people out here threatening violence and building go bags and trying to run away and trying to tell other people to run away. And I'm sitting here saying, not to stand your ground, but start preparing your environment for within it with the idea of sustaining life without the required support of the world around you, and to live that way, live to where you're growing stuff. Can't, people get into canning. I think that might be a little crazy. Might be a little crazy is you just creating a stockpile that ultimately is going to spoil. You're talking about inventory management. Hey man, if it spoils, you generally want to avoid that. But give away your yield, right? A lion could be dangerous to an elephant too. Sure, sure. But I think the American Socialist Party can a syndicalist socialist movement. Syndicalist. Why should I trust anything that you say? What do you mean by trust? And why am I relevant? Like I I'm not doing this so that I can run for political office. I'm doing this because there has to be another way. It can't end like this, where the right is just all hate and violence, and the Democrats' whole platform is at least we're not them. No, that's what somebody said in the comments, Lord Saul. That's what you get for halfway listening. That's what someone said in the comments. I just read what they said. But yeah, I'm me too, Annie. And I think it's pretty obvious. Like I don't identify as a Democrat. I don't identify even as a leftist. I'm a straight up fucking socialist, and I've voted that way and I've protested that way, and I showed up. I showed up for Bernie when he was in Indy, right? I spoke out when I felt like that nomination got stolen from him, right? I'm starting the American Socialist Party. I'm doing it the right way by being upfront with the people closest to it and saying like most socialist society schools fail. Why do they fail though? Do you know why? Did you do enough research, or did you just do a quick Google search? Because I actually know why. And it's because they all turned violent and they couldn't achieve their political ambitions, so they tried to overthrow the government every fucking time. All these socialist movements get on the precipice of success and they turn violent and it turns into a coup. And they do the same fucking shit that you're seeing happen in politics now, where it's someone desperate for power at the top. And that's what I'm trying to say. By establishing the American Socialist Party, I'm taking myself out of the equation. And I'm saying, I'll start the party. We figure out who has these ideals that will champion these ideals in where they live, and can say and can provide. I can be the one that you I can be the one that sets you free. I can be the one that you have as someone to talk to. Where do you get your ideals from? Because right now, what is his name? Curtis Yarvin. Like you wonder what all the horrible shit that's going on, and you know what I mean. You're constantly oppressed. Curtis Yarvin. That he's the dude. And here I am, an Eagle Scout. Not only an Eagle Scout, I'm Order of the Arrow, which only one out of every 100 Eagle Scouts achieves. I was also in the Marine Corps Infantry, 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. I always tell people I am not a war hero, but I fucking know some. I'm also in my 3rd decade of college. So if there was ever anyone that has sat in a classroom, spent time at the tip of the spear, also had a life of service prior to being in the military, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, it cannot be a violent overthrow of the government. It can't just be like public executions and shit, because they've done this shit in the past. They've overthrown governments in the past. And it's always because someone at the top wanted the power. They sought power. And they get there and they're just as ineffective as fucking Donald Trump is. So this can't be a quest for power. Not for me. It can't be, personally. Because if it's ever seen as a quest for power, the movement will fail. Mark my fucking words. As a staunch member of the resistance, I'm telling you, it's like I'm falling on the axe and saying like I can just be the one that is the founder of the American Socialist Party. I'm a good person. I have a great fucking resume. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I advocate for a healthy lifestyle. I have no criminal record. I'm pretty accomplished, but I'm not overly accomplished. I'm good enough. I'm good enough to be the founder of the American Socialist Party. Here is the platform and its ideals, and then just say, "Hey, there's only like 565 seats of government in the United States, and it's a numbers game. And all we need is people to hear what I'm saying and be like, yeah, I agree with him. Cool. And how do I get you to become a member of my party without fucking you over and fucking up this relationship?" Right? How can I get you to join the party and never want to leave it? Right? Because people do that with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They join those parties and it's like a fucking cult and you'll never fucking leave it. And it's like, how do you get it to be to where people will just be like, I'm giving up on the Democratic and Republican Party. I'm going to, how do you do that? You have to have a fucking plan. So if what I'm even saying, you're like, it's completely fucking reasonable. This human being is being completely reasonable about all of this. You need to start thinking about having a plan to run as a socialist where you are. I will help you. Have someone that will help you. All I need is a fucking logo and I can move. Okay? And so I wonder if I still have that open. I don't have it open. I didn't save it either. Mm-mm. Is there a recent? No. Damn. So I was sort of work. Socialism will not work. We live in a capitalist society. So I can explain how to pay for it, and that's by legalizing cannabis federally and making it a cash crop in the United States, or with a small change to the tax code. So I've already paid for the programs. Those programs have already been initiated. Again, if you're a veteran or you're poor, you can have socialism in the United States. So I would just ask, these programs already exist. They've already been used. Many people rely on them. I can explain how to pay for them. For example, one of the things people do is say healthcare, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's better to register as an independent. Okay. So the first thing is people will ask about healthcare, and they'll say, how do I get universal healthcare? Okay. Um, you get universal health care by telling the failing US healthcare system to make all of your Medicare, Medicaid, dual special needs plans available to the public. And just sign people up for zero cost healthcare with zero premium, zero cost for medication, zero max out of pocket. Those healthcare plans already exist. Those healthcare companies are fucking in a free fall. Why? Because their healthcare denies claims like a third of the time. So what you do is you just tell those struggling healthcare companies to make your dual special needs plans available to the public and sign everyone up for that, and those plans already exist. They could just get rid of all the other healthcare that costs money. Yeah, you could just the only thing that healthcare companies need to do. Why am I being restricted? Why am I being restricted? That was stupid. We were talking about healthcare. Yeah, so anyway, we're gonna restart this. But actually, we're getting ready to get out of here. We've been on here for an hour and a half. But people ask about how do you get universal health care? You just tell the healthcare companies that are already fucking failing, this is your alternative, or fail. Like, go out of business. They're already, the healthcare system in the United States is collapsing. It's already happening. Thank you, Luigi Mangione in United Healthcare. Okay. So know that that's already happening. And then as far as education, you meet certain requirements to go to school right now, and you don't have to pay for it. You use the GI Bill, you don't have to pay for school. There's even VRNE if you're a veteran, and you don't have to pay for school. So as far as how do you get universal education? Well, you apply to go to school and you pass the classes, and as long as you achieve like I don't know, like certain metrics, it's free. And ultimately, you don't pay when you fail. You know, you just go until you succeed. Take away student loans, like just eliminate that altogether. People, Donald Trump wants to get rid of the Department of Education, but he didn't get rid of student loans, right? That's what I would do. Get rid of student loans. Hey, wouldn't it be better if the President of the United States passed an order to refund everybody every dollar they ever spent on a student loan and just get rid of them, pay people back, whatever? And that never existed. Nobody ever had to worry about that again. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Hey, that's socialism. You want income? You want $500 every Friday from the government just for fucking existing? Socialism. And that's already happened in the United States, in Denver, Colorado, in 2022. For 2 years, they gave 500 families $500 every Friday. And they just tracked accomplishments after 2 years. And 42% of households produced a college degree, got married, bought a house, had a child, all things the US government wants, right? It ultimately wants us to create more workers, right? So there's proof universal income works. And then housing, again, back to the socialist, the classical economic theory of socialism. Hodgkin said that it was ultimately interest, rent, and taxes that are a derivative of your labor. And think about what if you didn't have to pay rent? Or what if your rent was limited, right? They're just so, again, there's so many people that are used to just being walked absolutely the fuck over and had no choice, right? One of the people in my class, they get paid just like I do, about $1,000 every Friday. Their health care for the job that we're at, for their family, is $600 per paycheck. So 60% of their take home pay covers insurance for their family. It's like $1,200 a month for a family of four. And so again, if you think on a $40,000 a year salary, when I just told you that the insurance for a family of four was $600 a paycheck, that's 60% of take home pay just on insurance. And you wondered if that was an okay system to live in. Consider that they also have to have car insurance. And on that money might pay for car insurance, might pay for some of, but not even all of their bills. And that's on a $40,000 salary paid out hourly, right? If you just multiply the pay by the hours, by the weeks that you work in a year, generally speaking, it's like a $40,000 salary. Yeah. Takes home about $1,000. Yep. Yep. So one of the things that they've learned about socialism is that it would save the average household $8,000 a year. But let me do a little bit of math for you. Okay, let's put you in uh, a completely plausible situation. Let's say right now you live in a two-bedroom apartment and you're a single mom and you pay $1,200 a month for rent. Socialism comes along, evaluates you, and says you'll pay no more than 400 for rent for the next 6 months, and if you stay in this place for a year, your rent's reduced to zero for the next 1 year. That's what socialism does. Is it sets a program where, yeah, you're going to pay less for rent, and then if you stay here long enough and faithfully pay rent, you pay zero for a term of at least a year. Per the government will just pay the difference. Same thing for like healthcare. People are like, how does universal healthcare work? Well, you just don't worry about a bill and you just go get treatment and get better and go back to work and stop thinking of constantly about how am I going to pay a medical bill. Isn't that just like a better way to live? I don't know. I don't know anything. All I know is that morale is like wildly important to the success of a nation. People will forget what you say. They'll never forget what you made them feel. Hey, just so I've said it, you are far more like powerful than you could have ever known. More capable than you could have ever imagined. And it absolutely does not have to be this way. 1,000 fucking percent every day when I wake up, one of the constant thoughts in that things that I think is like, it doesn't have to be this way. You could have leadership that is not afraid. I am not afraid. I live in fucking the middle of the reddest part of the country. Not afraid at all. Not afraid. Mm-mm. Never was raised that way. And you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't live in fear either. The things that I'm talking about are not impossible things that have never happened before. They're not revolutionary ideas. It's just what's supposed to happen. Your how you respond during this time is how you would have responded. If all you did during this time was go to work, sleep, wake up, go, and do it all over again, and you didn't try to organize a community and proffer nonviolent means of protest as a foundational aspect of a political party that you see as a necessary aspect of us moving forward as a country. It has to fucking happen. Because right now, right, when you're sick, it's exhausting to worrying to be well. Right. Remember that prior to Kamala Harris signing legislation keeping medical bills from hitting your credit report, a study came out and said half of all marriages end in divorce, right? So for every 100 people that get married, more than 50 of them, 50 of those couples are going to get a divorce. And that 60% of divorces are because of medical bills, meaning that a couple is married and they're together for a long time and one of them gets sick, racks up hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical bills to get better. And in order to keep the other person from having to pay for that, when and if you die, they get a divorce. And for the record, if you think it never happens, I just started at a new job. I already have clients that are living in that arrangement already. So if you actually think that there aren't couples that you know that they act like they're still married and they say they're still married, but they got a divorce because one of them has cancer and they wanted to make sure that the other person's not responsible for their debt when they die. And that really goes on in the United States, despite legislation being passed. Okay? Despite legislation being passed, there's still people living in that arrangement. So, as I always say, get good rest, get out there, protest your little ass off. But more importantly, get out of there and get home and live to tell a story, right? To listen to little Aerosmith. And that's what I've tried to iterate to people throughout all of this. Like all of the people that Donald Trump and Elon Musk are attacking are people that can't defend themselves. Taking away food stamps. These are people that are starving. Taking away Social Security. These are old people that are retired. Taking away veterans benefits. These are people that are disabled mostly and also retired. And then touching things like pensions. That's retirement, right? And the thing that has bothered me is like the bite the hand that feeds you mentality that again is the Russian what Russians want. And I think what happens here is that chaos is the battle plan and confusion's the battle plan. So and understand that Artem Klyushin and Vladimir Putin are using Donald Trump and Elon Musk as puppets, and it shows. None of what they're doing is to benefit Americans. It's all to our detriment. And why would you do that? So notice they're picking on people they don't anticipate will be able to protest them. It's like being a bully, right? They're being a bully. It's tough, Cat. It's tough. I had to turn my back on everyone. You know, once you find out motherfuckers voted for Donald Trump for a tax cut or thought they were gonna get cheaper groceries and shit, and you didn't think a guy saying he was gonna deport 14 million illegal immigrants and understand that this is a nation of immigrants and that despite their legality, that you there's no such thing as being an illegal immigrant on stolen fucking land. Like, what are we fucking talking about? And he voted for that anyway. That's the thing that's bothering me about all this anti-immigrant talk. What are white people to the United States if not immigrants? Bitch, we're not from here. Even I can acknowledge, like, I have an English heritage. It's because when you're not educated, you tend to become a bigot. You tend to operate with logical fallacy. You know, that's what I find myself doing as I get older, is recognizing that someone is either a racist or they have no clue what a fucking logical fallacy is. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Somebody said the only Americans are Native Americans. I don't fucking agree with that. I don't agree with that. I didn't choose to be born. You understand? So I didn't choose to be here. I didn't get to choose to be here. And I have to live in this fucking society. And if I'm willing to acknowledge there's no such thing as an illegal immigrant on stolen land, I'm certainly giving the Native Americans a lot more respect than a whole lot of other fucking people, right? Hey, we're all on the same team, right, Cap? But I understand I do this at my own expense too, you know? Not to make money. Can't be to make money or for to get myself into power. It has to be completely unlike what you see Elon Musk and Donald Trump doing, or it's just like theirs. Just like them. Seeking power, right? I'm fourth gen American Indians of 20 plus generations. Wow. And you can certainly appreciate heritage and understand that, but like, Everybody's always looking for an enemy. Instead of seeing it as rich versus poor, we have to turn it into American Indians are the only Americans and everyone else is a foreigner to this land and all that divisive ass shit. I'm not trying to be divisive. I don't believe in the fact that there are illegal immigrants. Unless you really want to talk about Elon Musk actually being an illegal immigrant. And then I can talk about that. I can talk about that. Have a good day. 2,000 unique viewers is crazy.